As a member of the Baha'i faith, God's force, divine assistance in the process of my life and work has been palpably clear to me. I have turned my face to thee, O my Lord, and illumine it with the light of thy countenance. I feel like my purpose in life in general is just to try as best as I can to be of service to whatever the opportunities are that have come forward. I am Layli Miller-Muro, the CEO of the Tahirih Justice Center.
We take legal intakes from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 p.m.
The Tahari Justice Center provides free legal defense for women and girls who are fleeing human rights abuses. We work with immigrant and refugee women and girls who courageously refuse violence by providing them legal services, social services, and also engaging in public policy advocacy. We have over 100 full-time staff. We're in 5 locations throughout the country. At any given time, we're litigating around 2,000 cases. Since our inception, we have been able to help over 27,000 women and children. Our job is a supportive one to enable them to make the change that they're already making, but they need a lawyer in that moment of courage so that they can do it.
It picks you up from one of the community, from the downtrodden community, which is being ignored. They take you from there, they make you feel you are equal. It's not like only they help me, they build me. They build my character, they build my personality. So they gave me the power now to help other people.
I grew up right outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and I grew up in the Baha'i community. It was a very integrated community, and so I grew up at a young age having deep, authentic friendships with people from many, many different backgrounds, and it wasn't until I was older that I began to realize that was unusual. It was through some pretty dramatic experiences with close friends of mine who experienced horrific forms of racism that I became very involved in issues of civil rights, human rights. When I was in law school, I had the honor of representing a young woman. She was 17 years old who was seeking asylum or refugee status in the United States. Her reason for fleeing her home country of Togo was female genital mutilation. And also she was fleeing a forced polygamous marriage to a 45-year-old man. She came to the United States seeking protection, but unfortunately at that time our laws didn't have a legal provision in it that allowed for relief or protection for people fleeing gender-based persecution. We lost at the lower court level. It then was appealed, and it was at that level that she won, and her case changed the law in the United States. O thou of those who show mercy art the most merciful. As Baha'is, we have to pray at least once a day. We are supposed to read Baha'i writings in the morning when we first wake up and at night, and that's a great way to center maybe a principle, a virtue, something I want to work on that day. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. We also say Allahu Akbar 95 times, which is also a very meditative practice that helps one center in mindfulness on a daily basis. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar means God is most glorious. The breath that's required for it is very calming, but we believe it has a spiritual energy. Those particular practices in the Baha'i faith provide reminders of our soul and our purpose for living, because otherwise it's really easy to get sucked up into the daily and the material and the physical and forget those elements of ourselves. So these are daily practices that help remind us that we are a soul first. The work of the Tahari Justice Center is advancing 2 principles that for me spiritually are critically important for the world, and that is justice and the equality of women and men. My faith tells me that humanity is actually handicapped and unable to progress. We're unable to evolve further as a civilization until we get these things right.
The doing of charitable deeds.
The Baha'i faith, like a lot of religions, has a very high bar standard for individuals on unconditional love, forgiveness, seeing the good in other people. And then at the exact same time, concurrently, there's a very high bar imposition for justice.
Verily, justice is my gift to thee, and the sign of my loving kindness.
It's the duty of society, of community, to uphold justice.
Neither grieved nor despondent. This is the conduct and the manner of the people of Baha.
The work of the Tahirih Justice Center is essentially to play the role of community in implementing justice. My work definitely influences my faith because it's my expression of my faith. Before I had children, I was a bit of a workaholic and didn't know why one just wouldn't work till 10 o'clock at night every night. And thank goodness my kids and family entered the picture in a way that now requires me to be home by a certain time and center other things, which I'm really, really grateful for. My greatest weakness, without a doubt, is lack of patience. And embedded in that, of course, is selfishness and kind of criticism and all these things that make one impatient. I have like a inner hyper fire that I've always had, I think, as a person. That can be a strength, certainly. It's been an important part of who I am and why things get accomplished. But it's also for sure one of my worst qualities and something I'm always trying to moderate. I've gotten death threats and the FBI had to get involved, and I've been sued by people, and I don't know. I mean, there have been things like that really suck and make me cry at night, or have to hire a lawyer, or have to ask the FBI or the police to sit in front of my house at night or guard my kids' school. But I genuinely believe that if nothing's changing and if I'm not an agitator, if somebody's not pissed off, then I'm not actually doing my job. Because then that means that everything is comfortable for people and staying the same. What's happening in the United States and really in the world right now is a movement of self-protection and selfishness. Somehow we're believing that if I take care of me and people who look like me and my family to the disadvantage of others, I've won. That somehow makes me better off. The Baha'i view on that is that that's not true.
Strengthen me with thy power and potency.
When there is suffering somewhere, there is in fact suffering everywhere. There's a Baha'i writing in particular that says that world peace is inevitable. We will either achieve it through unimaginable horrors or consultative will. It is the choice of humankind right now. But we've got to make these choices along the way about how we want to get there. And so that's our job every day.